Hello there, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Uncle Mad, day 4 of the Disney Tournament of Attractions. Quick update to the schedule. I may have misspoke in the initial video about how we'd go through this. Today we will be doing the Sweet 16. Tomorrow we're going to finish out the tournament. I think I'd said there was going to be an extra, I don't know if I put an extra day in there somewhere. I may have said it right in the get-go. I don't know. This has been the longest series of videos I've made. Everything else has been just one random thing that I was doing in a day. So this has been a little bit more of an extended journey, to say the least. So that being said, today we've got the Sweet 16. We're going to get through that. And then tomorrow's video, we'll finish up the tournament. If you're just now getting involved, there's a link in the description down below to allears.net, who gave us this great bracket. Well, they didn't give it to us. I found it on their website and thought it was fun. So, you know, if you want to, go there, print up your copy of the bracket, fill it out so you can play along these last couple episodes. But without further ado, let's get into it. Let's see who's going to be advancing to the, I almost said Final Four. We're going to the Elite Eight today. I'm losing me marbles. All right, our first matchup is between Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion. This is where you can see we are really getting into the nitty gritty of it. Most of these matchups are going to be, you know, two top tier attractions, two rides that 9 times out of 10 you would say are your favorite, but when you have them going head to head and you have to choose, it becomes hard, you know, and this is no exception. This is two of the all-time classics, two of the ones that feel like it wouldn't be Disney World without one of these, but one of them has to go. And when it comes down to it, ultimately, to me, it's Haunted Mansion that's going to keep going on. I mean, just the overall innovation of it, you know, the use of animatronics, the use of special effects to create the ghost and all the other haunts. The Omni-Mover ride system in and of itself is an amazing innovation. The whole facade, you know, it's one of the first rides that really made the queue part of the show. You know, Disney's done a great job of, you know, having themed line areas, so you're not just standing in a random line waiting for your ride, but Haunted Mansion was probably one of the first ones that really took that up a notch to a whole nother level. So it's just got a little bit more to it than the Pirates of the Caribbean, even though Pirates of the Caribbean is an all-time great. So, you know, for that reason, Haunted Mansion, congratulations, you're still alive in this tournament. For our next matchup, we have Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run against Tower of Terror. Now, for everything I said about how great the experience is of riding Smuggler's Run, just that feeling when you step onto the Millennium Falcon for the first time, it's great. But a lot of those same things hold true for the Tower of Terror, except it's more of an original experience. You know, it's great to be able to feel like you're stepping into something you've seen in the movies, but when you step into the Tower of Terror, it's just such an original, innovative place. You know, it just feels like you're really walking into a real old school Hollywood hotel that had this true haunted, terrifying event happen from top to bottom. It's just, the second you walk in the door, it's great, and it stays great till the minute you leave. This might be just a little, you know, bias just because of the long-term Tower of Terror effects, but I got to go with it. I got to give it its due. It's really, you know, stood the test of time up to this point. You know, Smuggler's Run, maybe 10 years from now, we'll be talking about it a little bit more reverently, but I go Tower of Terror here. On to the next round. Next up, we have Space Mountain against Dinosaur. Now, I've talked a lot about Dinosaur because it's a favorite of mine. I think it's very underrated. Talked a lot about how Space Mountain tries to kill you, or maybe it doesn't. I feel like it does. Here's where, you know, Dinosaur runs out of steam. I talked a lot in the last round about how I could see a world where with a little bit of renovation, a little bit of cleaning up, a little bit of refurb, Dinosaur could go from being a really great underrated ride to being actually one of the top rides in the park. But as it currently stands, it does not have those things. It does not have those elements that it needs to kind of push it to that next tier, that next level. And Space Mountain kind of does. You know, Space Mountain's always fun, always one of the first rides I want to get on when I get to Magic Kingdom. Once again, makes me feel like I might die while I'm on it, so that adds a little bit of something to it. You know, maybe if Dinosaur made not T-Rex, but whatever the T-Rex knockoff they use is, maybe if they made it a little more scary and I actually thought it was going to bite me and kill me, maybe it would get up a little bit. But I do not feel scared for death on Dinosaur. Once again, the fear of death wins. Space Mountain on to the next round. Our next matchup sees the Enchanted Tiki room go head-to-head with Spaceship Earth. This is a very, very tough one. This is two of the, kind of historically iconic rides, iconic attractions in Disney. I had a hard time deciding, and I went back and forth. I thought a lot about it. Finally, what kind of pushed it over the edge was just the fact that Spaceship Earth is so much the signature of Epcot that, if you say Epcot, that's going to be the first image that pops into people's heads. Tiki Room, it might be kind of far down the list on things people would say. Name something about Magic Kingdom. It'd probably kind of fall far down the list. So just in the lexicon of pop culture, Spaceship Earth has a more significant impact. It's tough, but I'm picking Spaceship Earth to win this matchup. Next matchup, an interesting one. This is where kind of the structure of the tournament was kind of well done because we've pushed ourselves into a place where two of Disney's mountain roller coasters are going head to head. We've got Big Thunder Mountain versus Expedition Everest. And for all intents and purposes, Big Thunder Mountain, classic ride, great experience, but Expedition Everest is like somebody went, let's take Big Thunder Mountain and crank it up to 11. I mean, it's just a much more thrilling ride. It's actually kind of got a little bit more story to it. I wish I actually realized the other day and kind of looking through some stuff that I've actually never been on the ride when the Yeti was working, because the last time I went in 2018, and that was the first time I'd been since 2004. And when I went in 2004, Everest was just under construction. So when it actually opened and the Yeti was functioning, there's this large gap of time that I didn't go to the parks. And by the time I came back, it was not functioning. So that probably hurts it in the long run. But in terms of straight up head to head with Big Thunder Mountain, I like Expedition Everest better. So it's going on. Congratulations. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. For our next matchup, we have the People Mover versus Splash Mountain. Now, you may be asking yourself, Uncle Mad, didn't you say that Toy Story Mania beat People Mover? Guess what? That was a tough one. And after thought and consideration, I changed my mind. So, forget what you saw in the previous video. Well, you can remember it. I don't care. These are just videos. Who gives a crap? Ultimately, when it came down to it, I came back to my gut. Kind of like when Ari realized he needed to dump the one girl and go get the other girl. This is like 10 seasons ago on The Bachelorette, I think. People Mover is my other girl. So I dumped Toy Story Mania and I went back and I got other girl, just like Ari did on The Bachelor. Unfortunately, it was just so that I could dump other girl again. Because here in this matchup, as much as I love a nice leisurely ride on the People Mover, I love Splash Mountain more. Sorry to have broke your heart again, People Mover. Your time here is done. Splash Mountain, will you accept this rose? Splash Mountain said yes. You couldn't hear it, but it said yes. Next up, we have Rock and Roller Coaster versus Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And I think you're kind of starting to see a pattern. You can probably see through what type of rides I like the best. This is the second matchup we've had in this round where it's a roller coaster versus another roller coaster. And much like in the other matchup between Big Thunder and Expedition Everest, my pick's going to be the more thrilling of the two, which is Rock and Roller Coaster. Like I said in my previous video, I think Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a great addition. It's a perfect ride that Magic Kingdom needed. But Rock and Roller Coaster is awesome. It's just so much fun. It's one of the, right there with Hulk, one of my top favorite launch coasters. Just that launch, just you shoot into it and you just never stop the whole time you're on it. It's great, so much fun. I don't know what else to say. Rock and Roller Coaster goes on to the next round. Next up, we have Muppet Vision 3D versus Sauron. I feel bad. This is tough. Muppet Vision 3D has had an incredible run. I've talked so much about how much I love it. It's ultimately one of my favorite attractions in the park. But I keep coming back to Sauron. I keep remembering the first time I rode Sauron and how new and different it felt. And Okay. We're going to change something. On my sheet, on my bracket, I had Sauron winning this. But I don't want to be like Ari again. I don't want to have to go back and break up and get back together and date and take them to the fantasy suites only to break their hearts. So on the spot, change of plans. Muppet Vision 3D beats Sauron. I can't help it. I love Muppet Vision 3D. It's nobody else might have it going this far in the tournament, but I'm a sucker for the Muppets. I can't help it. I'm sorry, Sauron. I'm glad we decided this before I took you too far along on this journey, but Muppets it is. I'm changing things. This is on the fly. You never know what's going to happen. Crazy things happen when you're down in the Mad Cave. I just came up with that. This is the Mad Cave now. More innovation, more just off-the-wall stuff that you never see coming. Stay tuned, because we're about to talk about another matchup. All right, so with that shocking turn of events of Muppets just coming from my heart and making me choose them over Sauron, we are done with today's portion of the tournament. We are into the Elite Eight. Only 8 attractions remain, and we're going to go through the Elite Eight, Final Four, and Championship tomorrow. We're wrapping everything up. I've talked a lot about all these rides. I don't have much more to say about them. It's going to be more about just going with my gut and picking winners from here on out. But just to get you caught up to speed, here's what we've got coming up in tomorrow's video. Haunted Mansion versus Tower of Terror. Wow. Spaceship Earth versus Space Mountain. So we've got 2 haunted attractions versus 2 space attractions. I'm now feeling like All Ears did a very clever job of structuring this. I don't know if they had this envisioned. I don't really know how they could have possibly envisioned what I would pick, but it's kind of working out in an interesting way. Then on the other side, we've got, once again, Mountain versus Mountain. Everest versus Splash Mountain. How did that happen? And then down at the bottom, in the shocking Cinderella story matchup, we've got Rock and Roller Coaster versus Muppet Vision 3D. That'll be all tomorrow. We're going to go through that. We're going to take it all the way to the championship and crown a winner. So please make sure you come back tomorrow. But to make sure you know when to come back, you need to do 2 things. You need to subscribe to my channel. There's a link down here. Hit it. But that's not it. Ring the bell as well, because that'll make sure you get every single notification every time I post a video, including tomorrow's where we crown the ultimate Disney attraction. Like the video, leave some comments down below. Tell me who you have in your Elite Eight. Where did I go wrong? Come back tomorrow. Till then, please heed the words of the master of music, song, sound, Sting. As he said, don't stand so close to me. See you tomorrow.